Just so honored and blessed to welcome back Kelly Thebo.
Ready? Thank you so much for having us. We were here Memorial Day weekend and just had a blast, and it was so nice to meet all of you. We are coming over once a month now, and that really was, all of you were the impetus for that, so I wanted to say thank you. There seemed to be enough of an interest to make the trip. It's about 5 hours for us one way, and we just wanted to thank you for that. You really were our launch in this area, so I just wanted to tell you from the bottom of my heart, we so appreciate it. We're here to talk about alignment today, is your focus for the month of October, and this is something that the collective talks about on a regular basis. So my husband plays the role. This is my husband, Rick.
Hello, everybody.
Rick plays the role of interacting with the collective. Today we're not going to take questions. 45 minutes doesn't really allow for that, and any of you who are familiar with their teaching, you know that. They have a lot to say about whatever we ask them. So is there anyone here who has not seen live channeling before? Just a few of you? Okay. So I don't do anything freaky. You're just going to hear me breathe, and I'm a bit of a trance channel. I'm not completely checked out while I'm channeling, but pretty much. Sometimes I remember what they say, sometimes I don't. It really depends, and I'm not quite sure what the factor is that makes the difference, to be quite honest with you. I just go into a bit of a trance, I close my eyes when I channel, and they come in and we have a discussion. So it isn't anything that you need to be nervous about. The collective, just to tell you a little bit about them, they are discarnate entities that inhabit the energy of various star systems, is how they explain who they are. It's interesting that they don't really talk about that very much. They came to me initially by sending me a UFO. That was how I got an inkling that the world was not what I really thought that it was, and things came online after that, and the YouTube video explains all of that Jay was referring to earlier. They bring a message of love and compassion and understanding, especially for self. That's really what their focus is to get us to examine ourselves in these energies, to help us to move on to whatever it is that we want to create, to release the things that aren't serving us and attract the things that will. And that's just the core of their message with no matter what topic that they're talking about. So we're so happy to be here with you today, and thanks so much for inviting us. You ready?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we're ready.
Yes, Kelly, we are here. We are appreciative of the opportunity to be with you this morning. You have questions?
Yes, thank you, Collective. Thank you for being with us this morning at Lake Harriet Spiritual Community in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The topic for the month of October is When We Align, and we've been asked to talk with you about what alignment is. I guess the first question should be, what does it mean to be in alignment? Alignment to what?
Alignment to original self. What you call higher self, we call original self. And the reason that we do this is we don't like to call it what you call it. Because the words that you use in your metaphysical communities, when we say metaphysical, we're just referring to the way you refer to self, yes? In the communities that you form and the common belief systems that you hold. Higher self, we move away from this term because many of you refer to higher self as it is something that you're carrying around in your pocket. Higher self is not separate from you. Higher self is you. We call it original self. Creator was seeking. Source was seeking. God was seeking to have an experience of itself and created all of you and all of us in order to do so. Working through us as aspect of self, always, to have a greater experience of itself. This original aspect of you, the original creation that resides at the frequency of source, is your original self, what you refer to as your higher self. We say when you are in alignment, you are lined up with your native frequency. So frequently you talk about raising your frequency, raising your vibration. We don't teach it this way. You have a native frequency, which is the frequency of Source. You are Source. You're an aspect of Source. You're not a child of, you're not a piece of, you're not a lesser measure of. You are Source. This is what you are. Come into materiality to have an experience of yourself. Creating something new to have an experience. You want to know your life purpose? We just gave it to you, for all of you. And you're all going to do this in a variety of ways, yes? And it's magnificent what you have created here. To create materiality and then to move into it, to experience it. That is magnificent. And many of you don't think of it this way, you see? This is why you're out of alignment. The alignment to original self is a frequency of love. And our definition of the love frequency is a frequency that is the absence of fear. Love is a frequency that is the absence of fear. Many of you think of it as what our channel would call the hallmark moment, yes? The warm, fuzzy, the physicality reaction that you get when you're with one that you are loving, yes? Well, basically, those are all emotions and reactions you're able to have because in that moment, you're not inhabiting fear. When you are inhabiting fear, that's not love. Fear is the opposite of love. This is your native frequency. And the way that we explain this is to envision self as a hot air balloon. This hot air balloon is sitting upon the ground, and it is filled with energy, yes? And they're so beautiful, are they not? And they're colorful, yes? And they're filled with energy, and this energy is you. 'Tis your frequency. 'Tis what you are. 'Tis who you are, outside of being human. But that hot air balloon is sitting on the ground, and it's on the ground because it has the sandbags on it, yes? Those sandbags represent your beliefs, and it's your beliefs that keep you out of alignment. Beliefs are something you have a choice about. 24/7, 100% of the time. Your beliefs are your choice. And you attach them to your balloon, and this determines whether or not it's ever going to get off the ground. The energy in the balloon does not change. The energy in the balloon is never going to change. It has a native frequency that is the pure love frequency. The creative ability, the power, that is Source, is you. That is what that balloon represents. And the only thing keeping it down are the beliefs you attach to it when you come into the earth plane, you see? For that balloon to rise, those beliefs need to be released. They need to be cut off. They need to be not on the balloon. And then it rises and you get a different perspective of your world, of your own personal experience, yes? And the higher it goes, the broader the perspective becomes. And this is how we teach what you are and who you are. You're not raising your frequency. You're letting go of the beliefs that are holding it down. And it's imperative that you understand this. Raising your frequency, that sounds like work, yes? Releasing, this sounds so much nicer, does it not? So much easier to do, to just release, yes? To just say, this is what I have and this is what I want. And in order to move into what I want, I need to release what I have and whatever belief led to the attraction of that. Because all of this has to do with law of attraction as well. Now, when you're in alignment, you are lined up with that native frequency that is the love frequency. There are certain emotions that you, as human beings, equate with this feeling of being in alignment, yes? Joy is one of them. Love is one of them. Gratitude is one of them. Compassion, yes, understanding. When you're moving into who you really are and what you really are, that feeling of alignment is the sweet spot, is it not? It is the physical manifestation. You can feel it in the physicality. You can feel it in the frequency that tells you, I am in alignment. Do you understand?
Your balloon example always makes such questions like this so easy to understand. I'm sorry. What I was saying was the balloon example makes it so easy to understand. So yes, that was a very good answer to that question. How does the original self communicate with us to help us stay in alignment with our native frequency?
Via the emotions. And we have a few things to say about emotions. You human beings, you're obsessed with them. You're enamored with your own emotions, are you not? And sometimes you can feel an emotion and it just doesn't go any further. You know, right now, something is happening and I'm getting upset. And as soon as I move into getting upset or getting angry or getting hurt, I'm just going to get stuck here. My wagon wheels are going into the mud and I'm not going any further, yes? This is the focusing on the emotions instead of understanding the purpose of the emotions. Now, emotions are wonderful. They're how you're experiencing the earth plane and materiality, and we don't recommend turning them off because that's not possible anyway. You can stuff them. Stuffing them, this is not good either. But you know, most of you don't stop to think about the emotion you're feeling. You give into it. And there's a difference between the two, you see? Original self is always seeking to communicate with you. Now, before you came in, you knew you were coming into a density, a frequency, that because you are inhabiting materiality, was going to cause you to initially perhaps forget who you are and what you are. You call this an awakening, yes, when one comes online to a knowledge of their own divinity. Happens at various times for all of you, and it's not the same for anyone. The emotions are how original self is saying to you, you're out of alignment. So we'll give you an example. Let us say that you're in conversation with someone. And you know, we always use examples that are relationships because that's what you're here to experience. None of you are living in a bubble. Even if you think you've created one, you're wrong. None of you are living in a bubble. You're here to grow and expand through relationship with one another because you are a collective consciousness, no different than we are a collective consciousness. We seek to model this for you, yes? How to do this in peace and in love. Original self is going to say to you, something is happening, and it's going to send you an emotion. It's going to send you a frequency that you're going to interpret as an emotion. And it's going to be a negative emotion if you're in one of these conversations that you don't want to be in. Something is happening that is pushing your buttons, yes? All this is original self saying, you're out of alignment. Original self is never saying, wow, can you believe this person? Can you believe how they're speaking to me? Can you believe this nonsense that is coming out of their mouth? I cannot wait for them to stop speaking so that I may say what I think. Yes? And you all do it. That's why you're laughing. Better to laugh than to cry, yes? Yes. Original self is always speaking through your emotions. You may be having a conversation with someone where you're thinking, I have much resonance with what this one is saying. This is someone that I would like to be my friend. I feel as if perhaps I know them. We have much in common, yes? This is original self saying, you're in alignment. You're looking at the divinity in another and seeing it as such. And you're more likely to do that when they are agreeing with you, yes? Yes. So in examining the emotions are the communication from original self. That you are either in or out of alignment. Original self is not qualifying the correspondence. You are doing that. You are the ones doing the judging. Original self does not judge. So what do you do with it? Let us say you're speaking to one and you're thinking, I'm not enjoying this conversation and I'm just looking for an out here. I'm going to be on my way as quickly as I possibly can. You could take a moment and say, original self, what are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that perhaps I need to go inside and ask myself, why are my buttons being pushed by whatever this one is saying to me? Because that one would not be in your field of experience had your frequency not attracted them. We call this the dark side of the law of attraction. It's the part of the law of attraction most of you don't want to discuss. We're going to be having a workshop on this soon. We're getting very many questions, you see. You move immediately with those emotions into victim mode. Well, who do they think they are? Yes? I am just sitting here. I'm a perfectly wonderful person. Why are they speaking to me this way? Yes? And you don't stop to examine, not in judgment, not in anger, what it is that is happening in the moment. Because you attract your experiences 24/7. And your frequency determines whether you are in or out of alignment. Now, many of you hold a belief, and our channel's warning us now. It's so funny when she does this. Many of you believe that you don't really attract the negative things into your life because you think of examples immediately. Immediately you think of the children, yes? You think of those who have been victims, that your society would say are victims. You need to remember as we teach you that we don't view you that way. We don't view you in your humanity as much as we view you in your divinity. And inside of those childlike bodies are magnificent divine beings who are not children. None of you are. This whole concept of the growing up, this is very much a human construct. What you do to expand as energy is you have an experience. You see, when you were first created, you were created to be a magnificent creator. That is what you are. You are source. That doesn't mean you've created anything. In order to expand, you must have the experience of being a creator. This is but one plane of existence where you come to do that, but one. And it's challenging because you come in to do the creation. Your frequency is drawing to you continually, without exception. Law of attraction is always working. Law of attraction is never not working. Draws to you a like frequency. And law of attraction has no morality. Is not quantifying or qualifying your experiences. Law of attraction is not concerned with whether you're having a good day or a bad day. Law of attraction is not concerned with blessing you with an abundant life while keeping from you and protecting you from all things awful upon the earth plane. Law of attraction is a physics principle. And it is how this plane of existence operates. And it's beautiful. Because law of attraction says you may have whatever you believe you may have. Whatever you believe you may have is what you will create. And this is just true no matter what you have drawn to your life. The reason that you struggle with the whole concept of frequency and higher self, original self, and guides trying to guide you, and bad things are still happening in your life because you're out of alignment, is because you're always judging. Law of attraction is not judging, it's a physics principle. You're judging things to be right and wrong and good and bad and black and white. And that's third dimensional thinking. That is the purpose of the third dimension, is the contrast, is it not? In the contrast, the choice is made. We have been saying this from the beginning of bringing our message through our channel. In the contrast, the choice is made. Here's what you have, here's what you want, and in the contrast between the two, sooner or later you're going to make a decision which of these is going to be a permanent fixture in your life. And that is only for the time that it's serving you. Then a new contrast will come. This is how it works. This is what law of attraction is. And all original self is seeking to do in lining you up is to let you know you are on the cusp of attracting something here you don't want to be attracting. So let's say you're in that conversation with this person and you're having these thoughts that all of you have, yes? And you're falling into judgment immediately instead of doing the self-examination. What is it about this one that I have drawn them to self in order to see the contrast of what I may choose? We would tell you quite frequently, the biggest choice you need to make is, what are you doing there? We would say this to many of you. All of you have constructs in your life that you're participating in, whether it's a job or a relationship or your family, it doesn't matter what it is, where you're not enjoying it. It's not bringing you joy. And you cannot, for whatever reason, you're holding a belief that does not allow you to move into the releasing of it and the creation of something new. Because this is what creators do. Creators create again and again and again. Many of you have the goal to just come here and create something that's pretty good and stick with that because you don't want anything to go wrong. Would you agree with us? This is what you're doing. Do you view your lives as a continual transformation of energy? A continual creation of something magnificent, that tomorrow would be different than today and that you don't need to be afraid. You're the one creating it. But what you do is as soon as you create something a little bit good, you hang on to that. I need to hang on to that, and I need to guard all windows and doors that no one comes in and hoses this up for me. Yes? This is how you look at it. And this is not what you're here to do. That's why it doesn't work out. When you begin to fall into fear, you attract the very thing that's then going to blow that creation out of the water. And you're going to be faced with another contrast. Here is what I have, and here is what I want. And it begins again. And you look at this as drama and trauma when it actually is not only the process you are here to participate in, it is what you are. You are creators. You are here to create continually. And chances are, if you're doing that really well, you're not going to be creating the same thing over and over and over again. Yes? And original self seeks to help you with this, with the whole concept of alignment. Original self seeks to say, you're in front of your boss right now and they're talking, yes? And they're making you angry. At least you think that's what's happening. And you don't want to be there. All higher self is saying, if you don't want to be there, why is that what you are creating? Higher self is not saying, look at this person. Can you even believe they came to be with us today? They're not doing that. Original self is the aspect of you that was the original creation from source. Original self does no judging. There's no need for it. You are believing you need to be there in front of that person or you wouldn't be there. And that's the piece of the law of attraction that we wish always to bring to your attention. Because many of you don't view it this way. You view yourself as victims in situations where you would not necessarily use the word victim, but it is how you are behaving. It is the frequency you are holding. You're stuck in a job that you don't really want to be in, and you feel stuck, and you're too afraid to make a move. You're too afraid to create a new creation. So then you begin to worry about it. Then you attract this frequency of worrying people into your life, and pretty soon you're standing there in that conversation not knowing what to do. And higher self the whole time, original self the whole time has been saying, you're out of alignment. You're not happy. Sending you more emotions that are crummy emotions. Waiting for you to get a clue. That all I'm doing is trying to tell you you're out of alignment. Pick a different creation. That's all original self is saying. You're a magnificent creator. You can create anything you want to create. Why are you creating this? This is all that original self is seeking to say. Because all the self-examination that needs to happen upon the earth plane, you're capable of doing that. You are source. You are God. Your God is what you are. There is nothing that you're going to dig out of your subconscious, as you call it, that's going to be something that you cannot deal with. That's not going to happen, and that's why original self is always doing that. And you know, a lot of you hold the belief that original self and guides are somehow hovering over you to keep you from every nefarious situation you may get yourself into. We're here to tell you that's not at all what they're doing. They're looking at that going, look at that contrast that she is in now. We wonder when she will come to us and say, please, could you help me to get out of this? They're not hovering over you looking to mitigate every negative circumstance in your life. You're the one drawing it. And you are the one in charge of the relationship with guides, yes? We liken your guides to a blind person with a dog, yes? You know, highly trained, have made a commitment to you, are there 24/7, and what you do, you go chain them up in the backyard and throw a ball to them. You know, you don't say to guides, you are here to guide me. The dog does not get up in the morning and say, well, here's where we're going today. This is not how it works, yes? You are there to say to guides, here's what I need from you. I cannot see clearly to get from here to here. This is where I need your help. Same as a guide dog. But you don't view them that way. You think they're running your life. And we're here to tell you, those of you who believe that, we can see into your life. That's not working out so well for you. And you just need to know that. You need to know why that's happening. You see? Because it doesn't have to be that way. You have come to be the creator in this existence. The guides are here to assist you in that, in the aspects of it that you still cannot see. But as your balloon rises, that perspective is going to become very clear. Very clear. And that is a releasing of beliefs that are holding you back. That's all alignment is. What belief am I holding that has me out of alignment, that has me weighted down, that has me experiencing things I don't want to be experiencing? What beliefs need to go and what other ones need to be adopted? This is what alignment is, you see? Do you understand?
Yes, thank you. That was a great explanation. What aspect of the earth plane poses the greatest challenge to staying in alignment?
Fear. You fear everything. We're not exaggerating. It gets tedious sometimes, you know. You fear everything that you do not understand. You fear being in control of your own lives. You fear taking responsibility for your own creations because you think with judgment. We do not. Fear permeates the earth plane. And the reason for that is when you first came here, you were ethereal beings. You came to experience the third dimension upon the earth plane. You did not inhabit it. There's a difference. As you were here longer and longer, you made the choice that you wanted to be a part of your own creation, to experience it as an aspect of materiality yourself. That's a very challenging construct. The church is, the earth plane is not a place for wimps, yes? All of you have much courage or you would not be here. All of you qualified for the program or you would not be here. We seek to tell you this because many of you, you don't feel very empowered, and we're here to tell you, you wouldn't even be upon the earth plane if you weren't. So you came into materiality. When first you were upon the earth plane, you created your own bodies. You thought them into existence. We want you to remember that when you're not inside this physicality, you are energy with consciousness. It is what you are. You have a thought and it comes into being. You're God. And we mean that in a very literal sense. You're not a lesser aspect of. So when you decided that you wanted to inhabit materiality, well, that's when some of the star nations did get involved. We don't talk about it very often because honestly, we don't really think it's all that important. But you did need the assistance of others, and you had to put together a program where you could procreate bodies because you were not thinking them into existence anymore. That's been a little over 200,000 years for you now, that you have been in the form that you're in now. So you come into materiality. Frequency has an impact on the human brain. You can use music as a form of torture, can you not? You can play certain frequencies that will cause people to lose their minds. Some of you are doing it anyway, yes? The frequency upon the earth plane is changing. And with that frequency, your body is coming into contact with that frequency continually. The human brain is affected by it. The only aspect of you that isn't affected by it is your original aspect, your consciousness, what you are as energy with consciousness that indwells this human body. You call it soul. We don't use the word soul because it's a loaded word. Again, you talk about your souls like you're carrying them around in your pocket. You're not. We don't like the word soul because for you, it has all kinds of belief systems already running through your mind, and then you think you know what we are saying, and you're not listening. That's why we seek never to use your vocabulary, but to develop one of our own. Because that way you're paying attention, yes? Your energy with consciousness indwelling materiality, indwelling the material form of the body. The body comes into existence because of frequency. Everything is frequency, it's physics. It's not just spiritual, it's physics. And your consciousness, as energy with consciousness, dwells inside of this material body that all of you brought into existence in a variety of ways. So you come into the body, and now you have the human brain, and you also have the divine mind, which is your consciousness. Human brain has certain jobs. Should not be given jobs it's not equipped for. And one of them is running your life. The human brain is so that you don't drive your car off a cliff, or you don't walk out in front of a bus. It's for survival. And that is always the first thing on its mind. How will I survive? How will I survive? I've got to stay in this crummy job. I have to make less money. I have to let this person scream at me because how will I survive? Yes? That is not a divine thought. That is a human thought. And once you understand that, you're going to be hearing that human aspect of you so much more frequently. You're going to be going, what are you saying to me? Here you are again. Here you are again, on and on and on with the survival. You have the choice to turn it off. It's a frequential thing, you see? When you focus on the divine mind and what you know that you are and what you know is possible, that's what mitigates the fear, because the human mind falls into fear. It is a result of frequency. You came into the third dimension. Third dimension is a dimension of contrast. The contrast was not developed in the third dimension to scare you to death. It was developed in the third dimension to give you a choice because you were functioning as a creator, not realizing you are a creator. Do you understand what we're saying? It's like walking into the kitchen and being a gourmet chef and looking around at all the pots and pans and not knowing what to do. So this is scaring you, and this is scaring you, and that is scaring you. Well, the contrast is provided that you could choose what you want to create. Because you don't think of yourself as creators, that frequency of contrast brings it to your attention that a choice needs to be made. That is the purpose of the third dimension. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just frequency. It's just an experience. It's not an evil place to dwell. But you got stuck there. You're still stuck there. This earth is traveling in fifth dimensional energies. It is traveling through a photon band. You may go to your technology and actually find articles about that. It's changing the entire magnetic field of your planet. It's even changing how you perceive time. Because time is only a result of the magnetic field of your planet. It's a construct. So how do you move from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, the fourth dimension being the dimension of spiritual awareness? This is where your awakening happens. Well, one of the ways that you do that is do some self-examination. When higher self says, when original self says, you're out of alignment and here comes some crummy emotion, you stop right there. Say, well, I'm feeling a crummy emotion. I can either live there, call myself a victim, fail to take responsibility for my life, or I can examine that message from original self, who's always trying to bring me into alignment as pure source energy, which is love for self and for others. Compassion, non-judgment. And I can ask myself, what's going on here? Why am I feeling so out of sorts with this one or this situation or whatever it is? Why am I not happy with what I have created? You're never happy with what you have created because you're creators. You're supposed to be creating, not just living in it. Create one creation and just live in it. None of you are happy with that, yet you won't admit it and you won't take responsibility for it, which is why you can't move on. This is why we teach what we teach. We seek to teach you how to know self better, how to love self finer, how to let go of judgment for self and for others. Because it's not what you're here to do. It's a complete waste of energy. And it's created the earth plane as you know it today, which, you know, we think you would agree with us. There's room for improvement, yes? So, original self is always seeking to communicate with you. But original self is never going to say to you what you want to hear, because that's not its role. It knows what and who you are. You are an aspect of it. Just as Source decided to have an experience of itself and dispersed its energy in the form of all of us, we emulated Source and dispersed our energy into different aspects of us. And we're having, all of us, different experiences in different dimensions and on different planes of existence continually. That frequency is being fed to you as well. And the question is, are you doing the work, the releasing, to look at your beliefs and say what is serving me and what is not? We want you to know there is no truth upon the earth plane, very little truth upon the earth plane. All there are is human beings as individuals holding beliefs, kicking in the law of attraction, which brings them proof of their own belief continually, and then you develop your own truth. So the truth of the one sitting next to you is very different than the truth that you are holding. And we're not talking about ideas and concepts and things you would discuss. We're talking about the evidence of your life. Because your frequency draws to you evidence of your frequency. Law of attraction is going to give you evidence of every single belief that you hold. You don't need to go digging around in your subconscious for it. It's right there in your life. The problem is, human brain kicks in and says, don't go looking there. You're going to feel really bad. You're going to get looking at that and start taking some responsibility for that, and then the judgment's going to kick in and all of this. Let's just leave everything the way it is. We can take it. This is what human brain says to you, yes? And the divine mind needs to take over and say, there's nothing there in my frequency or my life experience that I need to fear. Because I'm the one who's created it, and if I'm the one who's created it, I can create something else. And most of you don't look at it that way because you fall into judgment. You look at the creation of your life and you say, well, I have this regret and I have that regret. I have this thing that I have done, and if everybody knew about that, wow, I wouldn't even have any friends. Yes? And all that is you're just drawing all of that with your frequency. If you would just look at it and say, do you know what? That's the creation that I created when I was dwelling at that frequency. I'm not dwelling at that frequency anymore. I don't need to worry about attracting that anymore. That doesn't exist where I exist now. That exists here, and this is where I am in my balloon. We're telling you these are very real physics principles. These are not airy-fairy metaphysical beliefs. You will not experience something that dwells at a lower frequency than you dwell. You might be able to see it. That doesn't mean that it has to be a part of your life. You can look upon your news and see the chaos in your world of many who are not dealing with these new frequencies very well. That doesn't mean it needs to be part of your life. All you need to do is look at that, and we would ask you, why are we even bothering to look at that? If it's not in your life, don't worry about it. And that might seem callous. We don't care. You are here to create one life. You have one frequency to make a contribution with. And nobody else's frequency is your frequency. That's one all of you really need to think about, because you really think you're influencing other people's frequency. They're all dwelling at the frequency they want to be at because it's their own choice, and they're drawing to them in their own life what is their own choice. And the smartest thing all of you could do is mind your own business. Allow everyone to have the experience that they are having, and when they see the contrast for themselves, they will make a different choice because they're creators. They don't need you mucking around in their lives, you see? And the people who are doing that, well, it's because you don't want to be looking at your own life, yeah? If you can go and look at someone else's life, you don't need to examine your own, and that's easier for a lot of you. You need to think about that. When we say you, we're not just talking about you. We're talking about you. We're talking about the entirety of the human race and the beliefs that you hold around these types of things. Because you do that because you're falling into fear. That person has something going on that shocks me. I better go over there and try to fix it because I just can't stand to look at it, yeah? Because I'm afraid. All of it is fear. You ask us, what is the thing that most affects you being in alignment? It is fear. And it permeates everything you do. And until you realize that, lay it down and say, human mind, where all that fear comes from, I'm just laying that down. I'm a magnificent creator. I don't have to dwell in that energy anymore. I can create whatever I want. I can take my frequency wherever it wants to go. The only caveat is you're going to have to love yourselves to get there. You're going to have to lay aside the judgments. There's no judgment here. There's no judgment from source. The judgments are coming from you. You've all created an entire world that's full of judgment. How's that working out for you? Not so well, yeah? You need to let it go. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. What matters is what you think of you, because you are creating your life. You are inhabiting a frequency that is drawing to you something you like or you don't like, and you're the only one who can change it. Even us, we are the collective, and we teach you. Do you really think we're going to be following all of you out of here to make sure that you do everything we tell you to do? We're not going to do that because you have a choice. You have the same choice you have always had upon the earth plane. And this will either resonate with you or it will not. And that will be your choice. And so will whatever you create be your choice. You see? You must release the fear because it's not the way forward. The fear is the third dimension because that's what you turned it into, and the only way out of it is to release it. And the only way to do that is to examine your life and be honest. Here comes that yucky feeling from original self. What am I fearing? What am I fearing here? Am I fearing, as I'm looking into my boss's face and he's screaming at me, that I'm always going to be here forever? Because in this moment, I think I've made my decision. I'm not going to be here even one more day. I'm going to trust myself that I can create whatever I need. And I'm going to move on from relationships that aren't serving me, from constructs that aren't serving me. I'm going to make a list of my life. Here's what brings me joy, and here's what makes me miserable. And this one needs to be worked out. This needs to be examined. Why am I doing this thing that I am doing? Why am I in this relationship? What do I believe that has me staying there? Because, there's no truth. That's what we started out by saying, yes? Your truth is your belief. And whatever you believe, no matter how crazy it is, law of attraction is going to bring you more of the same. So how do you decide that belief is wrong when it isn't serving you? When it isn't serving you. When it makes you miserable, it's time for the belief to go. It is not a matter of truth or lie. It is a matter of love or judgment. It is a matter of love or fear, is what it is a matter of. It is the difference between two frequencies, and you may adopt a new frequency at any point in time based on the beliefs that you hold. And you know what? This is going to surprise you, but we don't care what you believe. It doesn't matter. Just make sure it's finer than the last thing you believed, because you're going to be bringing the evidence of it into your life. And as soon as that belief isn't serving you, you're going to release that and you're going to draw on a new one. And you think that you come here to find out what to believe. We have not told you what to believe. We have told you who and what you are. What you choose to believe is up to you. The only truth that we give you that we really wish that you would embrace is the fact that you are God, that you are pure source energy, that you are love, and that there is no judgment. No judgment on the other side of the veil. That is a construct of the earth plane. And the sooner it goes away, the better for all of you. Adopt beliefs that support you. Adopt beliefs filled with love for self and others, because you have a choice. And you have to understand the belief comes before the proof. Many of you call this faith, do you know? The belief comes before the proof, because the law of attraction kicks in and acts on frequency and belief. You have all the freedom in the world to decide what do you believe, and to draw to you more of the same. And you don't need someone else to endorse your beliefs. You don't need us to endorse your beliefs. You don't come together in society such as this, where we are speaking today, to endorse one another's beliefs, do you? You come here to love and support one another, do you know? And that means whatever belief you're dwelling at is a beautiful thing until you decide something else is more beautiful. You understand?
Yes, we definitely have to learn that we are divine creators, that's for sure. We have 5 minutes left. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners this morning?
We would like to tell you you're magnificent. And you have the potential to be and to experience anything you want to be or experience. And we're dead serious about that. Your life already proves it, does it not? If you were to go home and make a list, well, you know, these are the things I have been believing that have not been serving me. Right next to it, make a list of all the proof you've gotten on each one of those beliefs. Well, you know, I believe I'm stuck in this job. Here's my proof. I don't even want to get up in the morning, yeah? I believe I'm in a relationship where this person needs me, and what would they do without me? Yeah, and then you go over here and you write, well, I have attracted one to me who is needy and needs me and needs me and needs me. And what belief are you holding there? You must examine your beliefs. And your beliefs will always say, this is how I view me. I believe that I am here to serve needy people. I believe I am here to be in subjugation to whomever I choose to work for. I believe. And what you really need to be believing is, I believe that I am God. I believe that I inhabit the love frequency. Why should I not draw more of it into my life? I believe I may have whatever I can envision because I am a creator, and it is what I am here to do. I believe I have more than one life purpose. I believe I'm here to create 1,000,000 things, not just one. I'm here to create every moment, not just the path. You see these other pieces of your vocabulary that just need to go by the wayside. If you are God, what it is that you think that you are doing? You are creating. What do you think you're doing on the other side of the veil? Do you think you stand around biting your fingernails? You know, you think you're watching TV? What do you think you're doing? You're creating. You were sent to the earth plane to have an experience of yourself creating something you have never created before, in an energy that was so dense that you couldn't even remember that you were a creator. You're all magnificent. And what you have done here is magnificent. It is time to begin to enjoy it. Would you agree with us on this? Yes. This is what we leave you with. We love you and we love you. And we will see you soon.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
need a little water.
I invite you all to go back to YouTube and see the first time when Kelly did this before in May. And this one will be up on YouTube again in another week or so when we get that up. But I'm going to go back and listen to that many times because there's a lot to unpack there. And you just want to soak in those messages because that's profound wisdom that hits you right in the heart. Oh, so thank you. Now,
We're just all inhabiting a frequency of gratitude for the fellowship of being with one another, for the opportunity to come to the earth plane and to create something magnificent, for who and what each of us are as individuals and the unique contribution that all of us make to all that is, to the consciousness of the earth plane in our individual lives, to those that we love and even those that we don't know. I thank you for Lake Harriet, for the cohesiveness that is provided here for like-minded people to come together, to discover their divinity, to have a myriad of opportunities for expressing that and supporting one another. What a beautiful and unique community, and it's such a privilege to be here. I would wish that all of us would go out into the week and remember we are creators. We are magnificent. And joy is always an option. Bless all of you.